All right, we're gonna transition. We're gonna come back to something different now. We're gonna go on to the next topic. We're gonna go, are gaming expos dead?
Ooh, I like this topic. So, okay, I think this was kind of popularized. I saw a couple channels kind of poking this idea around. Shout out to Side Scrollers. They're back. They did it. Talking about E3 is dead was kind of the tagline of that. And that's an interesting topic because we've been to E3s. We like E3s. You run a convention. I think there's so much to say about it. Maybe a good question for you, Chris, right out of it is E3 is dead. It died, right? And it kind of died during COVID-ish time. What is it about E3 that's dead that conventions, though, are, you might tell us, booming, doing well, coming up?
Well, first off, does anybody, I didn't read too much on the E3 thing. I heard about it. Do you guys know the particulars of what went on there?
No, but from what my understanding is kind of when it went out, is the kind of the unanimous tone of people was like, oh no, it's dead. But a lot of people are like, do we really care? E3 was so much more important, think back in the day, right? Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, this is pre-internet, pre-major internet, so to say. Now it's almost like companies are just releasing this stuff when it comes out. Hey, a new game's coming out, you're developing a new game, boom, here's a trailer. You almost don't need to wait for that E3 moment to be like, woo, like here it comes.
Yeah.
We went to them. They were still fun. I think it was more of a fun thing to have the memories. But I would say in recent years when we went, it wasn't like that experience that I'm sure people got in the 90s of feeling like, holy cow, I didn't know this was coming. I didn't know this existed, so to say.
Well, now in most cases, you think about like how systems are set up now. It's like you buy the game and you're just basically becoming the beta tester for them. Before, it used to be like, there's the project and then let it see it come to life, and then you get the finished product.
Yes.
Now everybody's just like, oh, now I got this upgrade. Not upgrade, but like you had to get another update that's like 70 gigs. And you're like, well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have you guys ever been to a PAX East?
No.
So PAX does something very similar. Like I've been to PAX, well, any of the PAXs, not just PAX East, but PAX East, when I went to it, did like basically the big Nintendo, Twitch, Microsoft, Sony launches. So I don't know if maybe E3 went under just because PAX kind of stole that environment from them, and the big developers are like, well, we don't need E3 anymore. I'm not sure if
Ricky's
that's
got poop face. Let's hear it.
I'll just be honest. I feel like there's no good games right now, like great games that they would need to open up an E3 for. Like when we went to E3, the Smash Bros. For the Switch was coming out. I just remember everyone packing in like, whoa, like cheering it on. But like right now, what are you going to cheer for? Remakes?
I get what you're saying. That's actually really an interesting topic, because I feel like E3 would be more justified if it's one of those, because there's those generational launches of games where it's like the world is hype. I'm talking like a new first party, a new Mario game. Just like this is it. Like it's a mainline Mario game, a new whatever it may be, a new big Halo before they were putting them out every other year. But I feel like that's when E3 felt justified. Like you said, you needed that moment of hype. But now I'm really trying to rack my brain. What kind of games would come out that would make me feel like, dude, I got to be there for this announcement. Like I got to be there in that moment and live that moment.
Yeah.
Except that you do have three pretty prominent developers. Like those companies are all competing against themselves. So I still feel like it's a good platform for them to be like, all right, our Mario game is better than your new Halo coming out.
Okay, so what's the last big game that had the world excited? I'm talking everybody like, holy mother, this is out. Like, I mean, you probably did Smash Bros. I think was a unanimous.
I feel like Breath of the Wild was pretty
Breath of the
big.
Wild.
Maybe Grand Theft Auto 5, because
that was a big one too.
So we're thinking maybe the last big, at least in our Nintendo fanboy heads, is like the early Nintendo Switch days, right? Like the first year of it being out, we got Breath of the Wild, we got Odyssey, we got Mario Kart 8, technically, whatever, but Smash Bros. Those are kind of like those big ones. But there was good big ones that came out like Death Stranding and stuff, but I don't think they were ones that like the world was unanimously like, holy mother. We're probably missing it, and the audience is like, you guys are stupid. You guys missed this game. You big dummies.
They're all on their keyboards just searching stuff for us.
You idiots.
But here's another question for you, Chris. I guess like we talked about it just a little bit, but what kind of guests are you saying that it's kind of like a different scene?
Well, so like when we're talking about PAX and E3.
Plug your expo, bro.
Retro World Expo.
I've never been.
I'm more in the like mid to... But there's two different scenes. There's the PAX is, that's like newer stuff. In fact, like PAX, like if you're a retro gamer and you want to vend just selling retro games, there's a few vendors at PAX that are like grandfathered in, but they won't let new retro gaming vendors in.
Really?
So they just want it to be like new age stuff. Even though they started off, my understanding of their history was they were Penny Arcade Expo out of Washington, like I want to say something like 20 plus years ago. They were basically the first retro gaming convention. And then they expanded and they grew into PAX East, which is now possibly even taken over E3. So I think that they've kind of filled that void as like we're the number one like new Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Twitch kind of platform. But underneath them is all of the retro gaming scene, convention scene, which is, in my opinion, thriving but changing.
Okay, explain.
Yeah, so thriving as in there's not a ton of new ones coming up right now. Like Retro World has been around 8 years. 8 years ago, a lot of new conventions started, like us, Retro Game Con, Long Island Retro
Exchange,
Southeast Game Exchange, and a lot of these convention owners like myself, we kind of all know each other, but all started, and we've all done pretty well. There's only been a few that have maybe kind of fizzled out.
Okay.
So it's doing well, it's thriving, but the scene I've started to notice, to answer your question, Curtis, in the last year, probably 2 years, is it started to switch into a lot of anime, a lot of guest speakers, not guest speakers and guests that are like voices of anime.
Yes.
And the anime crowd is definitely like, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just filtered into like they kind of go hand in hand, but that's kind of the
I'm
big
an anime
switch.
guy, man.
You know what I found interesting? A couple conventions I went to, I would see the lines like say for guys like Matt Pat or Completionists or whoever these guys are. You know, sometimes their lines would be double to triple some of these big names. I'm not going to name big name voice people, and I'm like, that's interesting. Like, what is it that I guess it's just maybe pulling that type of audience, and that's they're probably on YouTube telling the audience to come versus the actors are like, I'm not going to go telling everybody, you know.
Yeah, you either know or you don't, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here's another question for you. Like, what does it really take to like prepare for an expo?
Oh my goodness, so much work, every single day for the whole year. My partner is Lance Cortez, one of the co-founders of Retroware. And we take like a 1 or 2 month hiatus after the show, and so it's probably 10 months of planning.
Wow.
Yeah, literally every day, emails, coordinating with vendors. Yeah, it's not necessarily for the money, that one. That's a...
Have you necessarily had like a really bad story, like something crazy actually happening at those while you're running it? Or is it pretty much civil, pretty much through the whole time?
Chris is perfect. Look at him. You think he's going to make a mistake?
Well, no one's going to...
How dare you ask Chris that question?
Well, there's a million fires to put out.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I've heard from Jay from the Game Chasers. Every time I'm with him, we're like homies. Like, listen, I mean, we're friends, but the minute the convention starts, he's like, you gotta go. There's a problem here. This vendor, this person didn't show up. There's a problem here, a problem there. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it looks
9
insane.
million fires to put out. In fact, I was at MagFest one year. You guys know MagFest? And the owner of that, I forget his name, we went to his panel, and somebody asked him, like, what's it been like putting on MagFest for all these years? And that's a big show with like so much to coordinate. He was like, picture a train that's on fire, and you're on the train, like, trying to put water on it.
That's
to
like running
put the
a YouTube
fires
channel,
out
bro.
while it's going, but you never completely put the train out. And I was like, man, that's the best explanation.
It's great for YouTube too. I'm going to use that because every week you're like this, and then the day's approaching where the video goes out and there's the thumbnails not made, the ad, the sponsor's not ready, this is ready. You're just like, it's coming. I don't know what to do.
Like, what are some of the grails that you've came across that you like maybe regret not getting or actually did buy?
Regrets are mostly in signs because a lot of times when you travel, that's the only bummer about certain conventions when you're not local. Is Ricky and I are like, again, what we talked about earlier. Ricky and I don't really necessarily be like, ooh, look at this cool small item. We're like, look at that sign that's 6 foot by 6 foot. What am I going to do with it? Sometimes I'll pay people to like put it on Mercari for $0 and then ship it, and I'll buy it from there. Don't do that, people. I don't know if it's wrong. I don't know.
And I'm curious what your guys' opinions are of like shows. Do you like your guests at a lot of shows?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you like doing them? Do you feel like it's work? Like, what is your take on them?
I mean, I love it because I'm literally running around the whole convention like, what can I buy? That's literally me. I'm just like running. Oh, look at how big that thing is. Can I shove it in my truck before we go?
I am on the level of I love conventions. I hate panels. I hate doing them. Yeah. Well, and I say this with love. I love meeting people, but I like people to meet us in our natural environment, which is out there hunting with them. That's more fun for me. And I tell that at this point, back when we first started, I was very like, yeah, I'll do it, sure. But nowadays, I'm pretty much like, yeah, man, I'll go, sure. Like, I'll be a guest. Thank you. You know, we're very humbled that we get to do it. But I'm like, just so you know, don't ask me to do a panel. Like,
so you won't do them?
I don't really do them.
You don't do them?
It's very rare that I do them.
Really?
Very rare that I do them.
You don't do them either?
Very rare that I do. Got to give me a little change.
You gotta give him a little push to go. You know what I mean?